Hello, everyone. Today, I want to be able to talk to you about a subject that happens actually more often than you would think. It is about being stalked after you have been involved in a cult, but also stalking within the cultic system. This is an unsettling and often hidden form of abuse. This isn't a story about one person following another. It's a coordinated, systematic campaign aimed at isolating, intimidating, and controlling someone, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, sometimes even years. And if that sounds alarming, it's because it is. But understanding it is the first step towards protection and healing if you've been through it. So what is group stalking? At its core, group stalking is organized harassment. It looks like a series of coincidences that aren't coincidental at all. People showing up where you are, repeated rumors and smears being spread out about you, relentless digital attacks like cyber attacks, cyberbullying, or subtle psychological pressure from multiple directions. When this is orchestrated by a cult, the aim is clear: to keep control, to silence dissent, to break down resistance. Think less someone following you down the street and more an entire network working together to make you feel unsafe, unreliable, and alone. When this is something that happened to me, it was extremely hard when I first started doing this work, and Scientology was not too pleased that I was helping people who wanted to leave. And I wasn't going up to them to find them, they were coming to me. But still, then, people started coming to me to follow me. Some discredited Los Angeles police officers who were hired on by Scientology, kind of thuggish people who were trying to intimidate me, leaning on my car when I got out of my office, sitting in a car with darkened windows out in front of my house. Even some who dressed up like janitorial staff to be able to get into my client records. They did not have success because someone was able to kind of realize that they didn't recognize these people who were dressed up like janitors. It is incredible the lengths they will go to. And this is kind of nothing in comparison to what happens sometimes to other people. In fact, it becomes a little bit tricky when someone calls me and says, I need to know if you have a back entrance to your office because I'm going to be followed now. Typically, another therapist might say, oh, that person has some paranoia and they tend to think that they're being followed. And in my situation, I will then ask, what group are you in, or what group have you been in? Because sometimes that takes it out of the realm of diagnosis and into the realm of real life experience. So let's look behind the veil: cult psychology and control. Why would a group do this? Power, control, of course, survival of the leader's narrative. I was working with people who had the inside scoop about a lot of people within this group, and they did not want that information out there, and they were hoping to intimidate me into not doing this anymore, or make the clients feel too scared to meet with me, that somehow I would share their information, which I would never do. But it is because the group has operated for so long and so successfully in the shadows by controlling how much information gets out there. So when they think there could be a leak, when the general public has access to behind-the-scenes information, they get very nervous. When a member questions the system, the group will often react, not just to punish that person, but to warn others that dissent will be destroyed. Cults depend on two psychological forces to make group stalking possible. One is obedience to authority. Followers are taught to carry out orders from leadership without question. Then there's groupthink and diffusion of responsibility. So individuals in the group may do things they would never do alone because responsibility is spread across many people, and because they're convinced it's for the greater good. And over time, these people can be transformed into participants in the harassment itself, convinced they're protecting the group. That's the chilling power of indoctrination. And in fact, I did have a client once who started her session with me by saying, I know we haven't officially met before, but I want to start by apologizing. Some of the harassment you dealt with was done by me, but I really thought I was saving the world by doing it. I didn't know I was just hurting someone who wanted to help. And that's not atypical in this field, that people are caught up in doing something that they realize after is really wrong and is just that they're being used to protect the privacy, the secrecy of the group, and to strong-arm people from going forward with their stories or helping others who want to leave. But there is an unseen scar from this. There's an impact on the victims. There's also moral injury for the people who participated in harassing others. The harm goes far beyond fear. Group stalking attacks the foundation of a person's life, their sense of safety, identity, and trust. Common effects that survivors describe include chronic hypervigilance and anxiety, paranoia and difficulty trusting others, erosion of identity, feeling like you can't tell what's real, and also not being believed by other people. You think, oh no, I must be losing my mind. Depression, panic attacks, symptoms consistent with trauma or PTSD. But recovery is possible, and it's often, though, long and requires safety and documentation and connection. So how do you spot the red flags? If there are repeated coincidences, like the same people at your workplace or asking you private questions that don't seem fitting for that situation, and people hovering around the outside of your home or in online spaces, trying to kind of saddle up to you, again, trying to see how much they can intimidate you or how much information they can try to siphon off of you. Coordinated smear campaigns, multiple accounts repeating the same lies or tropes, feeling constantly watched or undermined by friends, neighbors, or colleagues, sudden and simultaneous behavioral changes among people in your social circle. They all somehow turn on you and you realize they're still under something or someone's control. There's digital targeting, like doxing and mass reporting of accounts, fake profiles, or spyware. If several of these are happening at once, especially if you're voicing doubt or you've tried to leave the group, treat it as a pattern, not as a coincidence. And it is important that you do document everything. Take a photo of it, keep track of it, try to find out where it originated. Log dates and times, locations, and the names of anyone involved. All of this matters. Secure your devices if you can. Change passwords from a safe device, enabled factor authentication, and consider a factory reset if spyware is suspected. Limit how much you post publicly. Create a safety team that is like a trusted friend, maybe an attorney, an advocacy group, where you can go for help if you see that this is happening, and also seek legal counsel and prioritize mental health. It is really good to take care of yourself. It's good also to take a break from trying to figure out who's following you and how they're harassing you. Chances are, if you take a break, it's going to be okay. You can rest your mind, distract yourself, think about other things. But you'll have an easier time thinking of other things if you know you've put a team in place of people who are watching out for your reputation online, people who can walk by your house and see that no one is kind of hovering outside. This is not to make you paranoid. This is just if you know it's already happening, and to not really accept the diagnosis right away from people who don't know that this can happen, that you're just being paranoid. Show the evidence first, and then see if they still think you're being paranoid. But also avoid escalating the situation if you can by retaliating publicly or trying to out-harass the harassers without legal advice. Public confrontation can be used against you. It will often be filmed, and it'll make the harassment worse. So let professionals help you strategize. Healing from targeted group abuse actually takes time, and it takes trusted allies. Group stalking in cults and after you've left can feel terrifying, but it's not inevitable and it's not permanent. It won't necessarily go on forever. And it is such a shame that it happens at all. But that's why I wanted to make this video, so that you knew that this is a thing. This is a real thing at times for people that they have to endure after they've been given a hard time in a cult or have been made to feel horrible after leaving. Then they're harassed, which adds insult to injury over and over again. I am happy to share these videos with you so you understand the experience of people who have been through these moments. And so if you yourself are going through this, so you know that you're not alone. Take good care. Stay safe out there. Be well.